Hey y'all, happy Friday. So I know it's been a little bit different for our Mother's May, the entire month of May, but I do hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you enjoyed the different. Mom, Natalie, and I absolutely enjoyed our time together and really just breaking open the Word, and that was my heart to share with you all, to see what it's how conversation just comes and how it just happens and to challenge us at the same time that that's something that we should be doing frequently with each other, that we should be engaging in conversation about the Word. And we talked about so many different types of mothers. We talked about mothers who are biological mothers and birth their children. We talked about foster mothers, adoptive mothers, mothers who don't have children, who have just spoken life into so many of us. And I'm grateful for that discussion. And spiritual mothers, spiritual children, and whatever category, whatever type of mother that you fit into, I hope that you see what you have to give. I hope that you see the value that you are. Um, and the wealth of um, the wealth of knowledge, of information that can come when generations sit down and break open the Word. And it's so funny that I say generations. I wasn't really planning on this as a segue into what I want to talk about today. And between today and Monday, finishing up, is that generation and that legacy of faith. And I think that it's really quite impressive, is the best way that I know to say it, that Paul gives credit to Timothy's mother and his grandmother and their heritage of faith, their legacy of faith. And it was their believing and it was their faith in Jesus that poured into Timothy and that made him the man of God that he was. Timothy was Paul's son, so to speak. Paul adopted Timothy, and Timothy became the first pastor of the church at Ephesus, which was the largest church. The first church, that early church. And so Timothy had very great responsibility. And Ephesus was quite pagan, to say the least. And, all of us, or just like all of us, as new believers, we have to learn how to live a life like Christ. We have to learn how to be holy because God is holy. We have to learn how to walk as a believer. And so here is Timothy, this young man who is the pastor over this amazing, this huge, very diverse church in Ephesus. And in 2 Timothy, in Paul's second letter to Timothy, he acknowledges the legacy of faith and the heritage in faith that was poured into Timothy. And it was the work, according to Paul, of Timothy's mother and his grandmother. And that shaped Timothy into the man of God that he was. And so I'm going to read this, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this between today and Monday as we shore out our Mother's May. In 2 Timothy 1:5, he says, I'm calling up memories of your sincere and unqualified faith, the leaning of your entire personality on God in Christ, in absolute trust and confidence in His power, wisdom, and goodness. A faith, so this faith, that first permanently lived in the heart of your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, and now I am fully persuaded that it dwells in you also. Paul knows Timothy, and he is talking about this unqualified faith, this sincere faith, your full reliance on Jesus Christ and who He is. And that Paul knew that it was first in his grandmother Lois and in his mother Eunice. And now he could see clearly that it had also been passed down and poured into Paul. Moms of all types, shapes, and sizes, we have such a responsibility to teach our children that sincere faith, to pour that into our children, and to live it before them. We'll close out for today because we're at 5 minutes. I do want to make mention that next Tuesday is June 1st. It's the first Tuesday night of the month, and we will be doing Women in the Word online on the ministry Facebook page. I will see you then, and I'll see you in the morning for our live about 9 o'clock. Bye, y'all.